This is Peter Posen for In Between. This is the second half of the first segment, which deals with ancient pottery. Today we'll be talking to a friend of mine who has worked in the pottery field and in archaeology for many years. So here I am with my friend Sherry. She's involved with a lot of archaeology through her, how many years?
Well, 1980s, so what, 45 years?
45 years of working on different tells in the country. And she knows a lot about pottery. She's worked with Barbara Johnson. She's a scholar in pottery. So we're going to be talking about pottery today and how you can look at the pottery and get an idea of what time period or where it was or what kind of function it is.
When we talk about pots from a site that we've dug, we are not usually talking about whole, complete vessels like you see in a museum. Those either come from usually tombs, in which they were deposited in the tomb as a whole vessel and were never used or never used from that point on. And so they're still whole. About the only other time you will find at least intact vessels, if not whole, is when you have a destruction layer. Now, a destruction layer is usually, have to digress for a moment here, foundations of most constructions are made of stone in this part of the world, and then most of the upper courses are mud brick. Usually, not always and not everywhere, but usually.
You're talking about Bronze Age, not later.
No, I am talking about Iron Age. I'm talking about all the way through to modern times. Modern era villages are made in exactly the same way.
With mud brick on the bottom?
Mud brick on the top.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So what happens if you have a war, Sennacherib comes through, he lights up the whole village or town on fire, mud brick starts to melt. It gets that hot. So what happens is, if you look at a cut, this is a big wall here, here's my big stones down here, and these are all mud bricks going up, right? So what happens is it gets hot, and the mud brick begins to slump. Now, if you had whole vessels leaning up against the wall, they are going to fall right over those pots.
On top of the pots.
On top of the pots and preserve them.
Preserve them.
So now they might be broken, but all the bits are there.
Yeah.
So as an archaeologist, as you come and you remove the mud bricks away, and you have the pieces, then they can be reconstructed,
right.
And you have a whole vessel.
Yeah, it's in situ. Yeah, I mentioned that in my other segment that a lot of the oil lamps,
Right.
which were molded,
Right.
survived very good in soil because they were structurally strong,
That's right.
and you would find them against walls.
Or
like
where
here.
they've been kicked or pushed away,
Right, or in tombs.
or in cisterns, or things like that.
Exactly.
So this piece is not a whole vessel.
No, it's the bottom, I think.
It is the base
Yes.
of something. It is in fact what's called a ring base, because the pot was originally built like this, and then a coil of clay was wrapped around the bottom here and sort of glued onto it with a little bit of wet clay, and that made the bottom stable. Okay, now when you want to date that piece, what's the first thing you do? The first thing you do is you want to check the stratigraphy. You want to know where this was found. Was it found on the surface? Was it found 4 meters below the surface? Was it found in company with a whole bunch of other pots that looked like this, made out of the same clay or not? Okay.
But what about, if you're talking about strata, what if it was an older pot that was handed down through the generations?
It could be, but I guarantee you this one wouldn't have been.
That one would have. Okay, I got your guarantee. And you're the professional.
Grandma wouldn't have handed this down. Okay?
What was this pot used for?
We'll get there in a moment. First of all, we're doing construction stuff. First of all, you can see this lovely little swirl here. That's from where it was thrown on the wheel.
Right.
Okay?
Fast wheel.
Okay? So, and you can see the clay is this very light greenish color, right? This is typical of the Persian period.
Persian period.
Okay, so we can say this was a pot for something. We can't say what at the moment. And it was used in the Persian period.
That's pre the Second Temple, or after Second?
Pre-Second Temple period, between First and Second Temple.
That's right.
Persian.
Nehemiah's time. Do you know what kind of pot this was?
It could have been anything. If it was a great big thing, it could have been a mortaria. It could have been a pot holding liquids. No.
So,
Okay. This
tell me
actually goes this way.
oh, okay, so this is the top, and that's the bottom.
This is the rim here, right? This is the shoulder. And you can see this very nice combing here was probably done when the clay was still damp, and it was.
Is that decoration?
People argue whether it was decoration, identification as to what it was, or just because people liked it.
Okay.
You know, I can't really tell you any more than that. You know, it's really big. Okay, he goes like this. Can you see this little piece right here? Okay, that's the beginning of where you just had a shoulder there before.
So that the shoulder comes up from here.
The rim goes up here. So this is a big, massive storage jar.
It could be storage for anything.
Could be for wine. Could be for grains. Could be for any sort of thing like that. Trade items of one sort or another.
Well, then this is probably the bottom of the storage jar. But that's a different period?
Not really. This, again, you can see the swirlies from being thrown on the wheel.
Yeah, it's a wheel.
And again, you can recognize
The
now
ring
the
base.
ring base. This is more like a pot. And I would say
For flowers?
it could have been. By the way, there is a whole school of archaeology called landscape archaeology.
Oh, really? I did not know
Seriously? And people study the grains left, the pollen.
that. Yes, I
That's
have
where
a
things
friend
were
who's a
grown.
pollen specialist. I mentioned him on one of my
Okay,
episodes.
and the pots that they use to grow different vegetables and herbs and things like that for a household or a palace.
Inside the house or in the
Outside.
outside the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Never date something by handles.
Right.
Handles are what are interesting, and you might count them, and if they have something, a stamp impression on them, you would keep them in that case, or if they were part of an intact vessel. But usually, you never date from handles. Okay,
But they look
in this
nice.
case- but they look nice. They're kind of fun. But this one you can now recognize. You can see that there's the rim, and you see the handle is attached directly to the top of the rim, and it's grooved, and it goes to the upper shoulder, right? So this is a juglet, because the whole vessel was probably only about
Juglet
that
like
big.
that, okay.
Yeah, you would put it on the table, maybe serve wine with it, or water, or some other liquid, something like that.
I show a chart in one of my episodes of the different pots from the different periods.
Okay, this one, I cannot tell you a thing about it other than the fact that if you see here, it shows the lines are going this way, which means the vessel is like this.
So it's like could
So
be a plate or
it's
a
a
chaser.
horizontal handle, it was probably like this, and beyond that I can't tell you.
Yeah. Well, this one has some ribbing on it, so that's interesting.
Yep, there's this one. Now this is Byzantine period. These very thick ribbing like that is classically a sign of the Byzantine period. Beyond that, it was a jar of some sort. Beyond that, don't
Well, a very large handle would mean it would have been a large jar.
That's right. Like this one. Okay, this one, you were talking about things that they would put inside the clay for
Yeah.
various reasons. This one has...
Tempering, we call it tempering.
Okay, and we call it inclusions, but it's the
Inclusion,
same thing. Okay, and it's very thin, and you can see all the little bits right in there. You can see them right through there.
Okay, wait a minute.
And this was specifically a cooking pot.
Okay.
Okay, now what's even neat about it is while it didn't have any paint or glazing or anything like that they put like splotches of white something on it that was decorated.
It was decoration that's worn out.
Right, yeah. And this was part of a cooking vessel.
Yeah. I talk about the El Yehud pottery from the Canaanite period.
Okay,
And they would make little dots and fill it with white clay.
with white clay, yeah.
And I had a friend of mine, Gayla Goodman.
Yeah.
She turned a pot on the wheel, and then I had her put little nickel dots in there
Yeah.
for making Canaanite pottery. You can see
Okay.
that. You can see it
Your
on.
very own.
You can see it out on episode 2.
Okay, very good. Okay. Well, here we go again with the greenie.
Green.
So,
yeah.
you know, it's just like the first piece you gave me.
Right, and
Okay.
it's ribbed as well. You can
It's
see
ribbed.
that.
It is not, however, Byzantine. No,
No,
it's early.
Persian.
Yes.
Well, here's something.
Okay, this one's sweet. Okay. So this one was part of, it's the circumference of it here. You can see it's already starting to twirl around my finger. So it's
Small
not
vessel.
very big. It's a small closed
Would you
vessel.
see for like incense or?
No. It was probably,
Anointing
again, a
oil?
little juglet. Probably a little juglet of some sort.
Well, juglets they use for like anointing oil or for perfume
Or serving
Well,
on the table.
Well, I notice it's glazed inside and outside, so
That's
it
right.
has to have a liquid.
Some liquid would have been put on the inside. of it,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
But what's nice is the decoration, and that is painted. And
Mm-hmm.
this is your classical Mameluke decoration.
The Mamelukes were during after the Crusader period, right
After the Crusade, starting in the 13th century.
13th century.
And this is a classical little bit of a closed vessel from the Mameluke period. Now, you had asked me earlier, was this late bronze? It's one of the theories is that local people who lived in this area at the time, among other things, were robbing sites and tombs and things like that. And they found some of these late bronze things that were decorated. And they thought, gee, that looks pretty. And so they started decorating their own in imitation of that late bronze decoration. But this is definitely Mameluke.
Because I know Duty Tatan, I heard a lecture from the Philistine
Yeah.
period, and they had the red decorations on vessels. But glazing didn't come in until a much later
This
period.
isn't really a glaze, it's a slip.
It's a slip, okay.
Yeah, it's a slip, it's not glazing.
You know, but in the Muslim period, there was a lot of glazing and very
That's
fancy,
what I'm saying. I'm the
very
Crusade period.
fancy decoration.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's great. You've really given my viewers interesting to figure out. This stuff is all over the ground, laying everywhere. You have some right here in your garden, right below us.
Right, there's a piece right there.
There's 2 pieces. I see 2 pieces down there. And your job is to categorize these things and to write up in academic papers and stuff on this.
Everything is collected in organized way
And numbered.
and numbered.
Right.
And then a professional comes along who looks at the pottery in conjunction with all the other professionals and all the people who are studying the metal and the wood and the glass and the pottery as well. And not pottery, just vessel pottery, but lamps, figurines that are also can be made out of clay. And all together, then you get the complete picture.
But you don't get to put the puzzle together. They took that to a professional, and
They're-
he fills in the gaps with the
With
plaster.
the plaster, right. If you should be so lucky to have a nearly complete vessel, or you have, it's not intact, but you have all the bits, then yes, then it can go to a professional and they can put it together.
So before I end this segment, I wanted to show you a lamp. This is an oil lamp which you can buy in a gift shop. It's a replica. Comes with a little wick that you stick inside. So this is the end of the second part of part 1. And in part 2 we'll be dealing with techniques and kilns and different ways to deal with the clay. This is Peter Posen, or In Between.